Hello and welcome back. This is my second Davinci Resolve tutorial, and today we're going to be taking a look at how to import and use LUTs in Davinci Resolve. Now, if I seem quite tired, it's because I've already recorded this video once, but there was a problem with the audio. The jack wasn't properly plugged in on the microphone, and this is my second time recording this video this evening, so here we go. Now, LUTs are a type of file that you download and you import into Davinci Resolve and you use on your footage, and it gives a basic color grade to the footage that you've already shot. Now, it's not as good as a custom color grade, the reason being it's not meant for your footage, it's meant as an overall thing for all footage, so it's not specifically designed for you. However, they are really good for getting a basic look on all of your footage, and it's a really good baseline if you want to work from a base color profile and you don't have the time to go through and make everything look identical. Now, the LUTs we're using today are from Small HD, and they are copies of films. So we have Apocalypse This Very Moment, which is Apocalypse Now. We have The Matrices, which is obviously The Matrix. And we have Saving Private Damon, which is a copy of Saving Private Ryan. Now, using these LUTs won't make your film look exactly like these films. These are Hollywood films with multi-million-pound budgets, which have paid a colorist to work very hard on making the film look exactly right. Your footage, just by using a LUT, won't instantly look like that, and it obviously depends on the context of the footage as well. But it's a good way of getting a baseline on your footage. I've already downloaded all of these LUTs, but if we go down to the bottom of the page here, you can download them yourself. You just have to put your email in and agree to the terms, and you can download a zip file which has all of the cube files in it already. I've already done this, so we're just going to go straight to that. Oh, and if you do want to use these LUTs, I will be leaving the link down in the description, so just go down there, download them, and you can use them on your own footage. So here we are, we have the test shot that I'm going to be using for today, and we have the Small HD movie look LUTs. Now, if we go in here, instantly you'll notice they're all cube files, which I used across Davinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, Avid, Final Cut Pro, all of the really standard programs. You will be able to use different kind of file types for different kind of programs. Now, if we go over here into Davinci Resolve, we'll see in the color page we have our test footage already open. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to settings down here. We're going to go to Open LUTs folder, and it just brings up a folder with all of the LUTs that are already in Davinci Resolve. So you have them for converting between raw color profiles and Rec 709 and various other standard color profiles. So if your camera has a raw color profile, chances are it's already in here and you will just be able to convert straight to Rec 709 or a more usable color profile. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new folder. We're going to call it Small HD Film LUTs. So if we open up this folder and we go to Small HD Movie Looks, which is the downloaded folder, and we drag and drop all of these cube files over into the Davinci Resolve folder, then what that does is that just puts them in somewhere that it's easy for Davinci to find them. Now, what we're going to want to do is go back into Davinci Resolve, back into the color management page in project settings, and hit update lists, which just tells Davinci Resolve that it needs to go back through and go, oh yeah, there are new files here which I need to make available to the user. Click save, then what that's done is it's saved all our preferences, and Davinci now knows to offer us these LUTs as options if we're going to be using them in our footage. Now, these LUTs are intended for raw color profiles. So this color profile I'm using is Cine Look, which is a raw emulation LUT for Canon cameras. I will do a video on this in the future, but right now all we're going to need to do is desaturate it and decontrast it a little bit, just so it's a bit more like a standard raw color profile. But we've now decontrasted and desaturated the footage, so what we're going to do is we're going to add a new node and go add a corrector. Now we're going to put that in sequence, and we're going to go up here to the LUTs file, so it's Media Pool, LUTs and Gallery. Now in LUTs we have the previews for all of these LUTs that we can use. This is all in the Small HD Film LUTs, but you can see we also have all of the other conversion LUTs, which are intended for sorting out your color profile. So I'm feeling the living tree one looks quite nice on this footage. So I'm going to drag and drop that over to that corrector. And what that does is it just overlays this LUT onto this node. So then it will adapt the look of the footage that's coming straight from the timeline. And when it outputs it, it looks different depending on which LUT you've used. Now, if we go into here, we can also go down to LUT and scroll down. And we can go between different LUTs that are available to us, having downloaded them and imported them into Davinci Resolve. But for now, I quite like the life-giving tree LUT, so we're going to stick with that. I'm going to close LUTs and nodes. I'm going to see, are there any issues with it? So we now have a baseline we can work from, but this will need adapting depending on the shot, depending on the exposure, depending on the brightness. So you still need to do a bit of color correction before you import the LUT, or after you import the LUT, and just keep taking it out of sequence to see what it looks like, then putting it back in sequence. You can do that here as well, and just drag this straight to here, and then we get that immediate corrector file straight into the output. Or we can run the LUT back in sequence. So we're going through a LUT, so it now has that color corrector. Now I like to correct with the LUT underneath it, just so it looks about right. So yeah, you can do virtually anything you want to this footage now, and it will have this LUT applied to it. So you're just working from a base color customization. So I will do a more in-depth video in future on how to use LUTs and when to use LUTs and why you should do a custom color grade instead of using LUTs. But for now, that's just how you import them. And this is the second Davinci Resolve video I've done. So if you want to see anything in the future, you've got anything you want to learn about, anything you want to tell me about, just drop it down in the comments and I'll see what I can do.